Join me right now. We have Democratic Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. She is a member of the House Judiciary Committee and ranking member of the Immigration, Integrity, Security, and Enforcement Committee. Congresswoman, good to see you back on the show. Unfortunately, these circumstances, we start with asking your reaction to another deadly shooting by federal officers in Minneapolis. How does this happen again?
Alex, it is absolutely horrifying. It is extremely dangerous. And I think what we are seeing is what happens when the federal government militarizes the streets and sends agents in with literal freedom to do whatever they want and no accountability. These are not trained agents. We know that. And I think that first Renee Good's shooting, but certainly all of the events leading up to that in California, in Illinois, now in Minneapolis, over and over again, where First Amendment rights, Fourth Amendment rights are being violated. And now this incident, which I have reviewed all the videos that are available so far, and I've watched the press conferences. And to me, what DHS is already saying is already mischaracterizing who this person was that was killed by ICE agents. And it once again shows the danger not only of the occupying federal force that is in Minnesota today, but also of the lies that DHS seems to be willing to tell in all of these situations. It's an extremely dangerous situation. It's why I've said that Congress cannot fund DHS, cannot fund ICE and CBP, because they are operating as a lawless, unaccountable force that is killing people in our streets. No investigations, and violating the rights of U.S. citizens, of permanent residents, of immigrants who are simply trying to live their lives. This is not what the American people want, and you're seeing it reflected in the polling over and over again.
In fact, you've tweeted that you will not let ICE and CBP stay in Minnesota. So how can you do that? What power does Congress have?
Well, look, the main ways that we can stop an authoritarian government, which is what this government is right now, is the three things we have are, number one, very limited, but we do have leverage in Congress around what we give for funding. And you will note, Alex, that an unprecedented 97% of Democrats voted against the DHS funding bill. Only one Republican did, but we need to stop that funding. That was unprecedented. That goes to the Senate now. The Senate can refuse to fund this lawlessness. So that's the first thing Congress can do. The second thing that is really, really important is the power of the people. Look, public opinion is everything. And Donald Trump may have run on certain things that maybe people thought he was going to do around getting the worst of the worst off the streets. This is not what people voted for, even if they voted for Donald Trump. And so you're seeing that reflected. And Trump has to be aware of that. And Republicans need to start speaking out, voting against this funding, and calling for the administration to get ICE and CBP out. That's about the people. And then the third, of course, is the courts. But the courts do take time. And we are seeing people shot and killed. We don't have that time. Never in a million years, Alex, as somebody who is a naturalized citizen myself, would I have thought that we would see what we are seeing on the streets of America today. It is horrifying to me. And we just have to be clear that Republicans need to start speaking up, and Democrats have to use every ounce of power, because this cannot be business as usual.
Governor Tim Walz says that he spoke with the White House today after the shooting and demanded federal officers leave. I asked this question of Peter Baker right before you joined us. Your thoughts on whether you think the president will listen?
I don't know. I think that this person in the White House is not well. And that's a very nice way of putting it. I think he wants to be an authoritarian. And I think he's got people around him who want the same things that he does. And so I don't know what he's going to do. But what he needs to recognize, and what other Republicans need to recognize, is that they need to stand up for the Constitution of the United States of America. I saw that Dan Newhouse, my colleague here in Washington State this morning, had a small statement about this. People need to stand up and fight back for the America that we swore an oath to. And I think that that is really very important. But I also think that the people across this country, I'm just so grateful to Minnesotans. And I did a field hearing there, as you may know, last Friday. We took 28 members of Congress from 18 states across the country because this is about our democracy. And right now, Republicans are stealing democracy away from us right before our very eyes. And I cannot imagine that there aren't more people in Congress representing their constituents across the aisle as well that are not going to speak out when they see this continued lawlessness. I mean, this guy listening to Chief O'Hara, this person is not even who DHS says he is. This was a white 37-year-old man who, in O'Hara's words, Chief O'Hara's words, his only interaction with law enforcement was a few parking tickets. And as you pointed out earlier, Minnesota is an open and concealed carry state. So you can't shoot somebody just for having a gun there. This is absolute horror on the streets of America today.
Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, I want to thank you for joining us on this. You know, ma'am, that we had booked you to come on and talk about your remarkable performance there on Capitol Hill on Thursday with Jack Smith, the questioning and answering. We wanted to drill down on that. We will do so another time, I hope, with you. Thank you so much for your time with us today on this breaking news.